Why, oh why, do we, as readers, keep on asking each other that question, even if we know that it's an impossible question to answer? Hello everybody, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am coming at you with the 20 questions book tag. So I have seen Liv from Stories for Coffee do this video on her channel and I thought it sounded like so much fun, so I decided to do it myself. I don't actually know who the original creator of the video is, but I will make sure to find their video, or at least try, and leave it linked down below in the description box for all of you, as well as Liv's video, because obviously she was the inspiration for me today. So yeah, without any further ado, it's been so long since the last time I've done a tag, so I am definitely very ready for this one. I have all of the questions here, so let's begin. So the first prompt is already kind of a juicy question, and it is, how many books is too many books in a series? And I feel like when I was younger, I would have said that I wanted as many books as possible in a series. But now, as I'm growing older and my attention span has been ruined by years of academic work, I think actually that my favorite length for a series is probably a trilogy. Like 3 books for me just definitely hits the spot. It's just enough so that there's a lot of time to develop the characters and have a lot of angst, have a lot of action and all of that, but also it doesn't drag too long. And, you know, I don't have to wait like 25 years for the series to be completed. So yeah, I think 3 books is actually great. The second question is, how do you feel about cliffhangers? And this might be actually like a very unpopular opinion, but I personally like cliffhangers, which maybe tells us something about myself. Do I love to suffer? I mean, this is not a secret. I definitely love to suffer when it comes to books. I don't know, there's just something about a book ending on a cliffhanger that makes me, yes, very frustrated, but also so excited to know what is going to happen next. And the anticipation just builds up so amazingly, and when you finally get that next book in the series, you're just so much more excited to read it. So while they can be painful in the moment, I have to say that yes, I kind of enjoy cliffhangers, which I know is very weird. Question 3 is hardcovers or paperbacks, and I don't really have that much of a preference. I say, as most of my books are hardcovers. I am just a kind of reader who will look everywhere to try to find the most beautiful edition of a book if I want to buy it. So it's not really about if it's a hardcover or a paperback, it's just about it being like the most beautiful edition I can find. And often I do buy hardcovers because most of my books are books that are written by my favorite authors. So obviously when their books come out, I'm going to go and buy the copy that is available immediately, which is often going to be a hardcover. But sometimes I do prefer paperbacks. Question 4 is, what is your favorite book? Why, oh why, do we, as readers, keep on asking each other that question, even if we know that it's an impossible question to answer? I feel like for me, the only logical answer to this question would be to go with the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom duology. Yes, these are 2 books. No, you will not make me choose between the 2 of them. Obviously, I have so many favorite books. There are so many books that I love so much, but I don't think that in the entirety of my existence, there is a book series that has had a bigger impact on me than the Six of Crows duology. And I've reread this book series now at least 6 or 7 times, and I never get tired of it. And like I said, I have so many favorite books, and most of them that are like my absolute favorite I love as much as these 2. But for the sake of this video, we're gonna go for this because apparently readers love to torture themselves. Question number 5 is, what is your least favorite book? And the book that always comes to mind whenever somebody asks me what is the book that I hated the most in my lifetime is probably On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I remember reading, I think, like 40 pages of this book for one of my classes in university, and just wanting to absolutely fling it across the room. I hated it so much. I remember I just gave up and never finished it, even if it was for a class. That's how bad it was. And that's really saying something, because bachelor degree Sarah really cared about her grades, and she was so dedicated. So you know, if I had a book that was assigned for a class and I didn't read it, that it was really bad. Question number 6 is love triangles, yes or no? My short answer is no. My longer answer is I wish that there was a love triangle that actually did it for me, because I see so many people losing their minds over love triangles and I just don't get it. Every single time there's a love triangle in the book, I feel like it's so obvious who the main character is supposed to end up with between the two love interests. So there's no fun in it. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't read a good love triangle yet. So far, honestly, they're just boring and kind of annoying, and often involve a bad boy character, which, if you know me, you know that the bad boy trope is one of my most hated trope of all time. I absolutely hate bad boys. I want to kick them off a cliff. I just really dislike them. So yeah. Question 7 is what is the most recent book you just couldn't finish? And that's actually a really good question, because I actually started Middlemarch by George Eliot a little bit earlier this year, and I decided to DNF it because, oh my god, it was so boring. I just didn't like the characters, I didn't like the vibes, I didn't like the writing. Nothing was really keeping me engaged with the story. And this is a long fucking book. It is like, I think at least 600 pages long, if not more. I don't even know. Actually, let me check. This one edition is 904 pages. 904 pages of people in the old days doing nothing, just being judgmental towards one another. Why did I even bother? Question number 8 is what is the book that you're currently reading? I'm currently reading 2 books. I'm reading A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett and Hood Feminism, Notes from the Woman That a Movement Forgot by Mickey Kendall. Question number 9 is what is the last book that you recommended to someone? You know what? I think I was actually talking to some of my university friends and I told them to go and read Six of Crows. So very on brand. Question number 10 is what is the oldest book in terms of publication date that you've ever read? Honestly, it's probably one of those Greek classics that I had to read for one of my classes at university. I think I had to read like Antigone? Is that how you pronounce it? Is it Antigone or Antigone? How do you pronounce that name in English? I feel like both of those are wrong, but anyway, it's that play. I'll put the name like somewhere here. You know what I'm talking about. Then question 11 is what is the newest book you've read? And for me, that is definitely One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This came out last month, so it's definitely the most newest book I've read so far this year. Question 12 is who is your favorite author? Once again, that is a question that is so hard to answer, and a couple of years ago I might have said V.E. Schwab, but I don't think that's true anymore. I think actually it's probably Leigh Bardugo, even if I don't really love the Shadow and Bone trilogy, or if I don't really love Ninth House, because her other books are just so near and dear to my heart that I think she might be like my favorite author. But honestly, I don't know, like there are so many authors that I love so much. I love Madeline Miller, I love Erin Morgenstern, I love Kristen Cash Orr so much, I love Alice Oseman, I love Samantha Shannon. It's just, it's impossible to choose. I don't know. It's probably maybe it's Leigh Bardugo. I don't know. Question 13 is buying books or borrowing books, and I have to say borrow. I get most of my books from the library. I don't buy a lot of books, even if I have like a collection behind me. I only buy books if I have already read them and I already enjoy them and I think that I'm going to read them a second time. So I'm definitely a big fan of libraries. Libraries are just the greatest. I love them so much and I don't know what I would do without them. Question number 14 is a book that you dislike that everyone else seems to love. The first answer that comes to mind for that question is definitely the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. I know that even within the Cassandra Clare fan base, this series is definitely one of her most popular. I know that a lot of people are really critical of her other works, but this one is like everybody loves it. And I tried reading the first two books and absolutely hated both of them. So yeah, I think that's the one I'm gonna go with. There are definitely some other books that are really hyped that I did not enjoy as much as everyone else, but I feel like this series is really beloved and I just really hated it. So yeah. Question 15 is bookmarks or dog ear. I personally always use a bookmark whenever I'm reading, unless I just like bought a book on a whim and I don't have anything to put in it to work as a bookmark, then I dog ear the page and I honestly couldn't care less. I also very often dog ear pages in my favorite books to mark some of my favorite scenes. So honestly, I don't really care whether people use a bookmark or if they just dog ear their book. It's your damn book. Question 16 is, what is one book that you can always reread? And for the sake of originality, well, not really, because I always talk about this series too, but I'm not going to mention Six of Crows for this question. I'm gonna go with the Heartstopper graphic novel series by Alice Oseman. I feel like if you know me, you saw this coming from like 10,000 miles away because I am constantly rereading these books because I love them so much. They're just so precious, they warm my heart and they make me so happy. And you know, in life, you gotta give yourself the joy that you deserve. And that, for me, is the Heartstopper graphic novel series. Question 17 is, can you read while listening to music? I cannot. I am very bad at focusing on reading whenever I hear like people talking around me or music or whatever. I need like either a very layered ambient noise. Like for example, I can read in the subway, but if somebody is sitting right next to me having a conversation on the phone, I can't focus. It's like, it needs to be very neutral and not something that I can focus on because I'm a highly sensitive person. So whatever little noise or little conversation will immediately grab my attention. So I need either quiet or very indistinct ambient noise, if that makes sense. Question 18 is one POV or multiple POVs. In general, I really love when we have multiple POVs in a book because I feel like it makes the story so much more complex and layered, but that's also probably just my love of fantasy. But multiple POVs can also be a double-edged sword because sometimes you get characters that you absolutely do not care about, so their chapters are just very boring. But yeah, in general, I would say I do still prefer multiple POVs, but if a book is written with only one POV and it's written very well, then I'm obviously going to enjoy that book anyways. Question 19 is, can you read a book in one sitting or do you have to read it over multiple days? Kind of similar to what I said for the series question, I feel like younger me and current me would have very different experiences to talk about. Younger me used to absolutely devour books in one sitting. Like I would get, I don't know, maybe 10 books from the library and they would be done the next day because I would just read the entire day non-stop. But I can't do that anymore because, like I've said, academia really messed up my focus and I don't have the attention span for that anymore. So I just really rather take my time and fully enjoy the story and fully get immersed in the story instead of just rushing through it. Even if I'm like really enjoying it, I'm trying to pace myself a little bit more because I know that otherwise it will just completely disappear from my brain. And then finally, question 20 is who do you tag? And I'm going to tag Hillary from Melted Books, Mary from Mary Monk Stories, and Sophia from Sophia Reads, all of my lovely co-hosts over at the Tea Leaves Book Club, because I would really love to hear all of their answers. I feel like our answers are going to be very, very different. But there you all have it. That brings us to the end of the 20 questions book tag. If you've made it until the end of this video but you're not really sure what to comment, leave me a sparkle emoji down below so I know that you're there. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!